Hey everyone, is cruising getting more expensive, more restricted, more complicated in 2026? New passenger bans, health scares, legal battles, major rule changes are already reshaping vacations at sea. And if you're cruising soon, you need to know this before you book. Hey everyone, welcome back to Travel Scoop with Robin, where we help make travel easier, cheaper, and a lot less stressful. Today kicks off part one of a three-part series covering the biggest ship cruise industry news affecting travelers right now. Because there are so many facts, numbers, and policy updates involved, you may see me referencing my notes throughout this series. I want to make sure I'm giving you the most accurate and up-to-date information possible. Over these next three episodes, we're breaking down what happens behind the scenes in cruising, from record-breaking demand and rising cost to safety concerns, new onboard rules, environmental changes, and major industry shifts that could affect your next vacation. Cruising is booming right now, with ships filling faster than ever. Millions more travelers are choosing cruises for value and convenience, but there's also a lot changing that cruise passengers need to know before booking. In part one, we're going to cover the business side of cruising, why demand is skyrocketing, what's driving prices, legal challenges cruise lines are facing, and how these changes are going to impact you. And then in parts 2 and 3, we're going to dive into health and safety concerns, passenger rules, environmental regulations, and what future cruising may look like. So if you want fewer surprises, less stress, and smarter travel decisions, you're in the right place. Policies, laws, and cruise rules change often, so always verify important details with your cruise line or a qualified professional. Our first topic is going to be financial market shifts in the cruise industry. There is record demand for cruising on a global scale. The industry volume reached a historic high of 37.2 million passengers. Budget-conscious consumers continue to view cruising as a strong value, fueling new ship orders extending out into the next decade. In the U.S., AAA forecasts a surge of 21.7 million cruise passengers in 2026 alone, representing a solid 4.5 year-over-year increase. Consumers see cruising as a high attractive value driven by rising land-based hotel and dining costs. Cruisers view all-inclusive packages as a budget-friendly option. This strong appeal is leading to record demand, with passenger numbers hitting all-time highs and ships booking out months in advance. Major cruise lines are capturing more consumer surplus than ever through dynamic pricing, onboard spending, with ancillary revenues, your adult arcades, your drinks, your premium dining, making up over 30% of total venue revenue streams. Customers are choosing cruises to lock in cost of accommodations, meals, and entertainment before their trips, shielding them from fluctuating land-based inflation. Cruisers appreciate the efficiency and value of visiting multiple countries or islands on a single trip without the hassle of packing, unpacking, or booking separate flights. The economic impact of cruise tourism is generated $198 billion in global economic impact, supporting 1.8 million jobs worldwide. The import spending, passengers boast a high spend intensity, averaging $96 per person each port visited, significantly boosting food, beverages, and retail sectors. In Port Galveston, Texas alone, as an example, generating a profound local impact, the port projects 3.9 million passengers and 445 sailings in just 2026 alone. This thriving business supports 4,547 regional jobs and produces $733 million in local business revenues. Nearly 70% of cruise travelers extend their vacation by staying at least one night in a port community, either before or after their cruise. And the cruise market demographic is getting younger too, with about 1/3 of cruisers are now under the age of 40. Millennial and Gen Z cruisers are booking vacations at record rates, and 76% of these younger travelers plan to cruise again. Nearly 90% of travelers who have cruised before indicate they intend to sail again. There are legal and geopolitical challenges that impact all cruise lines. First, there is the shore excursion liability. Tragic accidents and fatalities do occur during off-ship excursions, such as a recent propeller accident in the Bahamas that have sparked federal lawsuits against cruise lines over alleged negligence and the oversight of excursion operators. In 2026, cruise lines generally shield themselves from liability for shore excursion injuries by classifying third-party tour operators as independent contractors in their ticket contracts. However, cruise lines can still be held liable if they fail to adequately vet operators, misrepresent the safety of an excursion, or market the tour as their own. The primary legal and operational factors shaping shore excursion liability include: one, the independent contractor defense, where most shore excursions are operated by independent local vendors. But when injuries occur, cruise lines point to the fine print in the cruise passenger ticket contract, arguing that they are merely agents booking tours on a passenger's behalf and cannot be held vicariously liable for a third party's negligence. When can cruise lines be held liable? The cruise lines profit significantly from selling cruise excursions, which imposes a legal duty of care. Passengers and maritime attorneys can successfully pursue claims against the cruise lines under general maritime law if it can be proven that the cruise line, one, failed to properly vet the excursion operators, where they did not conduct adequately safe and operational background checks on the tour company, or they misrepresented safety as they marketed the excursion as a perfectly safe or under their direct supervision, leading passengers to reasonably believe they were traveling with cruise line employees. Or they failed to warn passengers who knew or should have known about unsafe conditions, example, high crime areas or notoriously reckless vendors. Then there's also the defective transportation, where they failed to ensure safe transportation to and from the excursion location. Strict contractual deadlines. Cruise tickets contain strict forum selection clauses and time limitations. So under federal maritime law, passengers generally must provide written notice of the claim to the cruise line within 6 months of the incident. You must also file a formal lawsuit in the designated venue, which is often federal court in Miami, Florida, with 1 year of the injury. Missing either one of these deadlines is grounds for a case of dismissal with prejudice. Then there's waivers and releases. Independent shore excursion operators will almost always require passengers to sign waivers prior to the activity. While these waivers are strictly scrutinized by courts, they are often enforceable, meaning proving cruise line negligence is frequently the only avenue for recovery. Well, that's a wrap for part 1 of our cruise industry news series, but we're just getting started. Part 2, we're going to dive into the health scares making headlines, new onboard rules you may not know about, banned items, and the safety updates every cruiser should understand before sailing. If you found this helpful, make sure to like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the rest of the series. Now let's head straight into part 2, because the rules of cruising are changing fast and you'll want to know what's coming before your next vacation. See you there.